Halloween is coming up, and I found this really cool idea on how to recycle and reuse your toilet paper rolls as decoration. And I think this is really good as a zero waste way to kind of get into the holiday spirit. And I think it's a fun activity not just for kids, but for full grown adults like me as well. Theoretically, you can use whatever color you want for the base color, but there are some iconic monsters that just need particular colors. So the first one that I'm making here is Frankenstein's monster, and you kind of need to use green for that one, otherwise it won't be as recognizable. So go ahead and be liberal with your paint. My toilet paper roll, as you can see, has some lettering on it, and I'm trying to cover it up as best as possible. Though also keep in mind that you'll be painting the face on one side of it, so the back side doesn't have to be as opaque as the front side. Remember to lay down some newspaper so that your table doesn't get damaged. So the next color I'm mixing is for another iconic monster, Dracula. He's typically portrayed with light peachy colored skin, so here I'm just mixing some white and some of this peach color together. And once again, be liberal with your paint. I like to go in for a second coat just to make sure everything is evenly coated and painted, and I think that it makes the end product look more polished. Basically, you just have to repeat this process for every single toilet roll. From now on, you can pick whatever color you want. I'm starting with a yellow. I know that's not very monstery, but I think it's a cute color, so that's what I'm going with. And make sure to keep 2 or 3 toilet rolls unpainted because you'll see later on what we do with that. If you get too excited and run out of toilet paper rolls, you can also cut paper towel rolls into 3 parts. I went with these vibrant colors, but obviously you can go with pastels or with darker colors, and it's totally up to you. But basically, while we're waiting for the paint to dry, we want to prepare the accessories that we're going to use to decorate the toilet paper rolls with. So first off, we're going to start with the eyes because every monster has to have one. You can cut strips of paper like these and then fold them up to create evenly shaped eyes in bulk. Don't worry if the eyes are not perfect, you can always fix them later on, but I also think there's something quirky about eyes that are not perfect circles. Now all you have to do is take a Sharpie and draw the pupils. I wanted Dracula to have bloodshot eyes, and so I ended up adding some red lines around his pupils. Next, take some colored paper. I just used some post-its here because I didn't need an entire large sheet of paper. But basically what you're trying to make here is an accordion, so just fold the paper back and forth in a zigzag shape. Then cut the paper in half, and what I did here was just refold it so that the creases were sharper and more defined. Cut it in half again until it's just about this size. And you'll want to do this so that you'll have 2 of these at the end. You'll see later on what we use these for. For the next accessory, you'll want to take another sheet of paper and just cut 2 triangles like this. They're scalene triangles. And then take a complementing color and cut a smaller equilateral triangle. I'm moving on to the third random monster accessory, and here I am drawing out wing shapes. So you kind of want like a curved cone, and you want 4 of those. For this one, we once again want the accordion. You should have gotten pretty good at it by now. For Dracula's cape, we want 2 equal-sized triangles, preferably in red. And finally, with those unpainted toilet paper rolls, we'll be making mummies. And so you can just take the last piece of toilet paper that was hanging off of a toilet paper roll and rip that up into shreds. Alright, now we're finally ready to assemble. So take that toilet paper roll and start laying these shreds of toilet paper over it in a pattern that you find pleasing. And make sure to leave space for the eyes. I just crisscrossed the shreds over one another, but try to make it also seem random and not too parallel or perfect. When you're happy with how it looks, you can either take glue, which I didn't have, or tape and secure the end pieces to the back of the mummy. Like I said, you won't really see the back of this roll, so if it gets a little messy, don't worry too much about it. As long as it's secured and it doesn't fall off, it's fine. Then the final step is just to secure the eyes onto that little gap that you left for them. If you want to make it spookier, you can also add some red paint or red ink to make it look like they're bleeding. But on to the next one. Here is Frankenstein's monster. This is also a pretty simple one. All you'll need is a Sharpie, and optionally you can trace the hairs beforehand with a pencil to kind of see where they'll fall. If you're confident enough, you can just go for it with the Sharpie. Just outline the hairs and then color them in. Next is the mouth, which is just a zigzag, which is actually harder to do than you think because of this cylindrical shape. And finally, you can stick the eyes on. This Dracula one is probably one of my favorites, and once again, all you need to do is kind of outline the hair with some Sharpie and then color that in. In order to see where I wanted to draw on the mouth, I put on the eyes to measure the distance and see what would look okay and what would look natural. I used whiteout just because that's what I had lying around, but you can obviously also use paint or a white marker, and all you have to do is draw on a straight line for the mouth and then fangs on the ends and teeth in between. I smudged his teeth a little with my pinky, but that's okay because I think I saved it by making it look like there was blood dripping all over his mouth. And originally I was going to draw on the bow tie, but I actually thought it would be cuter if it were kind of 3D, so I cut out a bow tie from the orangey red paper that I had left over. Next, make sure you stick on those bloodshot eyes that we made earlier specifically for Dracula. And then you want his cape, so take those two equally sized triangles and stick them to the back. I actually found it difficult to secure it at the right angle in the back, and so I ended up finding this piece of scrap paper that I used as a bridge between the two sides. And I ended up sticking this scrap to the back so that the wings were kind of branching off of it. I don't have names for these guys, but they're just a random assortment of weird creatures, I guess. In a similar technique to the Dracula one, I drew a frowny face here with fangs pointing up this time, also with white out. Taking those scalene triangles that we made earlier, stick them together at an angle, and then what we're going to do is stick the equilateral triangle on top of it so it kind of looks like horns with a crown. Yellow is not a spooky color at all, and so I thought I would draw a big mouth on this guy and make him have fangs and large teeth looking like he's going to gobble you up. So for that I used Sharpie to draw a big large circle, and then I used whiteout to go over it to draw his teeth. This guy also needs 3 eyes for the extra spookiness. And for the final touch, he needs wings, and so I used a similar strategy to the Dracula and just used this strip of paper to secure the wings. Remember to count out how many eyes you have left, that's always important. But for this one, we're going to use the accordions that we made earlier and kind of make this little crown thing, or a sprout of hair, I guess. You want it to fan out on top, so tape together the bottom of the accordion and attach that to the back of the roll. After adding all the eyes, I realized that he was missing a mouth, and so for some reason I decided to give him a buck tooth. I gave this orange one accordion wings. And only one eyeball. Everyone knows squiggly line mouths are the scariest, and so here you go. Okay, so I thought I was going to give this one 4 eyes, but after testing it out, I thought it looked kind of strange. And so instead what I did was I decided to give him fangs. And I cut out these tiny triangular teeth that were really long and sharp and stuck them to this mouth that I drew on. Here they all are as one big happy spooky family. I think these are good not just as decoration, but also as party poppers. You can fill them with candy, you can use it to decorate a platter or put them around the house. Maybe you can even string them together and hang them somewhere. You can use and reuse them endlessly, and I think they're just such a cute idea. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you next time. Bye!